Today we are going to do a very important session. I hope you will pay attention to what I'm trying to show you and what I'm trying to tell you. The session is about the course that you are taking here in the school, because I want to update you because it's not a regular SSC or CBSE course that you are doing. This course that you are doing is called International GCSE 9 to 1. Now don't worry about what 9 to 1 means. I don't want to go into the details of it. You just remember this number as grading system. However, just don't tax your brain on that. Just remember that it's an international GCSE course that you are doing. Now, why is it important to remember this course? It is because there are many similar courses that you will come across while you are browsing something or while you are researching about some particular topic. You will come across many similar courses, and if you do not know and if you are not aware of the course that you are doing, you will land up taking some incorrect information, or you will land up browsing the resources that may not suit your particular course. Okay, similar courses like International GCSE or like IGCSE or like GCSE, you will come across these kind of similar courses. But what have you to look for? You got to be looking for International GCSE 9 to 1, which is your course. Now the subject that we are doing is English as a second language. Okay, and the code for this subject you can see down, written in small, event code 4EA1. Well, that's an old one. You can see there, first assessment in 2019, first teaching in 2017. So now we have 4ES1. Your previous teacher, Yasmin ma'am, has already given you the specifications. I'm just walking you through that. Okay, so our code for the subject is 4ES1. Now, why is it important to remember? I want to tell you one anecdote, and that's about my previous school. In my previous school, what happened is one student got the wrong paper because it seems he didn't check the code there. And he landed up answering the wrong paper. Only after half an hour, when the invigilator happened to spot it, she realized that it's the wrong paper the student is answering. And that's how this thing came to light. And by the time the student got the paper, he already had lost about 30 minutes of his exam time. So if you don't want to get into such a disaster, I would say, you got to be knowing the correct code. Of course, the invigilator and the examiner makes sure that you get the right paper, but sometimes, human errors, you cannot rule them out completely. So it's better to be safe than sorry, right? So to be on a safer side, you must know what is your code, and it is 4ES1. Okay? Now, today we are going to look at this paper, this exam, this subject that you have taken and what it entails. Okay, so this paper, this course rather, comprises of 3 papers. Yes, you have paper 1, which is reading and writing. You have paper 2, which is just a listening paper, but it also contains writing section in it. And then you have paper 3, speaking. Now this paper 3 is just an optional paper, and here at SPAN we haven't taken this paper. We have only taken paper 1 and 2 for you all. Okay, so you just got to know that you have to attempt 2 papers, which is reading, writing and listening. Right. Let's look at the overview of this specification. I do not know whether you know this or you do not. So let me tell you again that unlike other Indian boards where students can only appear once in a year for their exam, here our board, which is edexcel, is a very student friendly board. Okay, and it allows you to appear at two different times of the year. One, you can take the exam in January. Second, you can take the exam in June. Okay, but here in our school, we have taken the January session, and there are different reasons for it, which I have apprised you of in my first meeting that I had with your parents and you. Okay, so but it allows you to appear, it gives you an option of appearing either in January or June. Okay, let's have a look at the papers now. You have paper 1, which is of 2 hours, and it has 50 marks of reading section and 50 marks for writing section. Okay, and you have paper 2, which is the listening paper, and the duration is 50 minutes only. All right, only 50 minutes, 50, and it comprises of 40 marks. Okay, I will not go to your paper 3 speaking test since that's not required. Okay, we will look at the reading section today. And your reading section is divided into 3 parts: reading part 1, part 2, and part 3. Now, you might wonder, when all 3 are reading sections, what's the difference? Yeah, you can't be just blindly doing the comprehension. You got to be understanding the difference also, okay, so that you can practice thoroughly. Let's see what reading part 1 is. Okay, reading part 1 is of 10 marks, and it's the simplest part of comprehension, since the objective is only understanding the overall message of a text. Okay, so it requires which skill? It just requires skimming and scanning. So it's the simplest part of the comprehension, and your comprehension can come in forms like advertisement, like a timetable. It could be a leaflet giving advice. Okay, so this is the kind of comprehension that you will have in your reading part 1. And what is the skill required? The objective is only understanding the overall message of a text. Let's see the example, so for you to understand better. This is taken from 2019 paper. Look at reading section 1. This is how it looks like. I already told you it can either be a leaflet or an advert or an article. So here it is. It's part of the leaflet. So you have the heading there, ways to raise money for charity. Okay, and then the entire leaflet is there. You can see there alphabet A written. Yes. Now what is that? That is nothing but only naming or labeling of the paragraphs, and that makes it easy for you to understand and pick the information that the question requires. Okay, can anybody guess how many paragraphs can be there in this extract? Any guesses? Because it's only one a part that is taken here. I've just taken a small part, only A. Yes, maybe someone guessed it. 10 paragraphs. Now, how do we see 10 paragraphs? You can see the first question, and it has the letters A to J. Okay, A to J means 10 paragraphs. Yes, okay. So, yeah, it has 10 paragraphs, and it requires you to look for information in a particular paragraph, and you got to tick it. Tick here means cross. I'm sorry, okay? You don't use tick, we use cross for the correct answer. So here the first question is, which paragraph refers to teachers paying for a scheme? and you got to read all A to J paragraphs, and one paragraph will definitely match with the question. You just got to cross that. Okay, so that's how your reading part 1 looks like. Is the easiest one. Let's come to reading part 2. Reading part 1 was of 10 marks. It had 10 questions that were expected to be answered. Reading part 2 is of 15 marks, okay? And it comprises of, obviously, 15 questions. And again, this is a longer extract, by the way, and this can be either, again, from leaflet, from an advertisement or article or report, etc. Okay? And here you are expected to be clear about 3 assessment objectives. You will be assessed on whether you're able to understand the details of the text and identify the finer points, finer facts, finer details. So just understanding the overall message is not enough, like it was required in reading part 2. Here it's a little bit more. You got to understand in detail here, okay? Another objective is you should be able to differentiate between facts and opinions and ideas, okay? And the third objective is you should be able to understand what is the writer trying to tell you, what is the writer's point of view and his attitude, whether it's stated or implied. What is the meaning of implied? Stated means is just very clearly written there. Implied means you got to understand the hidden meaning behind it, okay? That's the meaning of implied. So many things we do not say directly, okay? But it means implied. Say, for example, I want to say a particular student is not able, is a little weak, in understanding, doesn't have that level of understanding, okay? So what do I say? I will not say he is weak or he cannot understand. I will say probably he faces difficulty in his comprehension skills or understanding skills. Okay, that means what? That means he cannot understand. He's not intelligent enough, right? That's the implied meaning. Okay, yeah. So you got to be reading between the lines here in this part of the section, and it is in this part of reading, and it is of how many marks? 15 marks. Okay, let's look at the example now. This is the example. See here, it's a report. Okay, as I told you, it's a little longer extract, and it could be from an advertisement or a report or article. So here this extract is from a report. It's Ella Foot's report on braving the cold to wild swim every day through December until New Year's Day. Okay, so it's a report, and it contains a title. You can see The Joy of Wild Water Swimming. It contains a title. You will see that letters that were, the paragraphs were marked with, are missing here. So here you cannot very straight away distinguish between paragraphs. And what kind of answers are expected here? Simple answers. And again, there are 15 questions. You can see questions 11 to 25 you have to answer. That means 15 questions. These are not very straightforward answers, but I said what it will ask you of. It will ask you of understanding the implied meaning. Okay. All right, what it implies, you got to be reading between the lines. You got to understand the writer's viewpoint. You got to understand the writer's attitude. Okay, so that was reading part 2. Now, what is reading part 3? Reading part 3 comprises of, the weightage is 20 marks. So the first part of reading was 10 marks, second part of reading was 15 marks, and third part of reading is 20 marks. And it's again a long text. Probably it could be again from a report or article. Okay. Now, what kind of questions will it expect you to answer? You could have multiple choice questions there. You could have very short answer questions there. You can have true false questions there. True false or not given. Couple of times children get confused between whether a particular statement is false or whether it is not given. So as we do it, as we practice, we'll come to understand the difference. Though the difference is very subtle. If something is not given, then you assume it to be false. But it may not be the case here. It may be that the information is not given and you're expected to mark the option of not given. Then you have another question that could be note completion. Blanks, fill in the blanks are given and you just got to complete. Okay. You have diagram completion. You have summary completion. By the way, summary completion is no more there now. Okay. This is the example. So here is an extract from an article. Look at the question. Read Sam Blank's article on passive houses and answer questions 26 to 45. Okay. So here is an extract from an article. Okay. And see, as I told you, this is one sample question given here. It's expected of you to fill in the blanks, complete the information, and the words are given there in the box down. Okay, word box down. So help is given to you. You got to be picking the words from here and filling in the blanks. Okay, this may also be quite tricky. Do not take it to understand that, oh, is just fill in the blanks, well, where the answers are already given. Okay, we may not go through the examiner report. We may not do this as of now. Okay, so I explained to you about the 3 reading sections, which is reading part 1, part 2, and part 3. So what is part 4? Part 4 will be your writing actually. Okay, you have writing part 4, part 5, and part 6. Now what is writing part 4? Writing part 4 is the simplest form of writing, which comprises again of either an email or a letter or a postcard. It's of 10 marks and the writing is informal register. So this question will always expect you to answer an informal piece of writing. It could be what? A letter, an email, or a postcard. Okay. And the word limit is how much? 75 to 100 words. Okay. Let's just stick to only this. Look at the example. The example is given here. You are doing a class project with your friend on famous people. Write an email to your friend about starting your project. In your email, you can see 3 bullet points that are written there. So what's important here to remember? When we will do email writing, we will study how it's supposed to be done. I think you all have done one example with your teacher, and I'm pretty sure she's explained it well to you. However, we'll reiterate those points in our next class. Okay. Here, what is the word limit? As I said, 75 to 100 words, and it carries 10 marks. And what you must remember here is you've got to be answering all the 3 bullet points. What is your writing part 5? Your writing part 5 is semi-formal. So writing part 4 was what? Informal. Writing part 5 is semi-formal. And it can be what? A report. You are either asked to write a report. You can either be asked to write an article or a semi-formal letter. Okay, let's look at the example. You ordered a new coat from an online company. When you received the coat, you were not very happy with it. Write a letter to the customer care department. And in your letter, you must state why you are writing, give 2 reasons why you're unhappy, explain what you would like the company to do. So you can see that it is a semi-formal writing. You can't be informal, yes, saying, hey, Sam, how are you doing? I ordered a coat from your company and it's just not cool that I got it, with so many patches and a faded color. No, you cannot use this type of language because it is informal. And you're expected to write what? Semi-formal. All right. And it's not completely formal also. So your second part of writing, that is writing part 5, is semi-formal writing. And for the first part of writing, your word limit was 75 to 100. Here it increases. See, the complexity increases if you are understanding with every level. First part of writing is only 75 to 100 words. Next part of writing is 100 to 150 words. And your last part of writing, which is writing part 6, comprises of summary writing, and it is of 25 marks. Okay, all right. But here again, the word limit is 75 to 100 only, but it's a very complex form of writing. You can just go through the various skills that are mentioned there. Yes. So here in today's class, what did we discuss? I walked you through your reading paper and your listening paper. Your reading paper comprises of 6 sections. Yes, reading is 3 sections and writing is again 3 sections. We all saw their weightage and the marks. We saw also the sample questions for each section. So I think after this session, you will be pretty clear about your paper format and about how we are going to go ahead learning all this and how we are going to master it to get maximum benefit and maximum marks. We will continue discussing this in our Zoom session. However, I request you to watch this video very carefully and take down the notes. Thank you so much, children. I enjoyed making this video for you. Thank you.